Hi, fourth grade. Today we are starting chapter 4, which is all about multiplication. And today we're going to be looking at multiplication properties. So we studied addition properties earlier this year, and you're going to recognize a lot of the names. And a lot of them you can apply the same rules to. So this is going to be almost a bit of a review for you today. Okay? The first property that we are looking at is the commutative property of multiplication. Everyone say commutative. Commutative. It's kind of a mouthful, but I've renamed this the flip-flop rule. And the reason we call it the flip-flop rule is because the order that you multiply does not change the product. So if you flip-flop these two numbers, you still get the same product. So looking at this example right here, we have 5 times 4 equals 20. Right next to it, we have flip-flopped the 4 and the 5. 4 times 5 still equals 20. So the order in which you multiply does not change the product, the final answer. Remember that a product is the answer to a multiplication problem. Here's another example down here in our flip-flops. 6 times 8 equals 48. Well, I've flip-flopped the 8 and the 6, and we see that 8 times 6 is still 48. So our commutative property of multiplication, also known as the flip-flop rule, tells us that it doesn't matter which order you multiply in, okay? Our next rule or property that we're going to be looking at today is called the associative property of multiplication. Everyone say associative. Associative. Good. And when you look at the associative property, the way that you're supposed to remember it is you need to think grouping. And the way that I remember it is I think, okay, who do I associate myself with? Who are my friends? Who do I group myself with? So that's why I have this picture of friends right here. They are associated. They are grouped together. They are friends. Okay? So this rule is all about changing the grouping. Well, changing the grouping does not change the product. So what I mean by grouping is when you multiply and you see parentheses, you always multiply what's in the parentheses first. And so these numbers have been grouped together to tell you to do something first, okay? So in this first example, we see that 1 and 4 are in the parentheses. They've been grouped together. So we need to multiply 1 times 4 first, which is 4, and then multiply this total by 2. So 1 times 4 is 4, times 2 is 8. Okay, well, right below it, we see the same three numbers being multiplied together. We see 1, 4, and 2. 1, 4, and 2. But this time, because we always multiply what's in the parentheses first, we have grouped together the 4 and the 2. So 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 1 is 8. So even though the grouping changed, our product stayed the same. Here's another way that we could group these same three numbers. I could multiply 2 times 1 first, which gives me 2, and then 2 times 4 equals 8. Okay? So 3 different ways of grouping, but you get the same product every time. So it doesn't matter, again, which way that you group them. So I want you to look down here, and I want you to try grouping these 3 numbers and seeing if you get the same product every time. So go ahead and pause the video if you need to. Write these problems down in your notes, and you should see that you get the same product each time. Okay, so what's that product going to be? You need to figure that out right now. Okay, again, this is the associative property of multiplication, grouping. Okay, here's your problem. Our next property is called the identity property of multiplication. Okay, when you think of identity, think the same number. So when I think of identity, I think of myself. I'm always going to be me. I'm never going to change. I'm always going to be Miss Nielsen. So with this property, you're going to be looking at the identity of a number. And what the rule is when you multiply a number by 1, the number stays the same. So the identity of that number will not change if you multiply it by 1. Okay, this little thumbprint right here is supposed to remind us of our identity. So here's some examples. 1 times 6 is 6. The 6 did not change because it was only multiplied by 1. 7 times 1 is 7. Okay, did the 7 change? No. 100 times 1 is 100. Okay? The identity of 100 did not change. 6,345,201 times 1 is still 6,345,201. Okay? So the identity property means that the number does not change when you multiply it by 1. In addition, the identity property was whenever you add 0 to a number, it doesn't change, right? The identity is maintained. So this one's a little bit different. It's when you multiply by 1. Okay? So I want you now to come up with 3 on your own. Come up with 3 example problems using the identity property for me. Okay? Alrighty. You can pause the video if you need to. Next, this one's easy peasy. You guys should be able to memorize this. The 0 property of multiplication. Okay, it's right in the name. Think 0. Basically what the rule is the product of 0 and a number is always 0. Any number times 0 equals 0. And the reason for that is because if what you're saying is you have 0 groups of 5, you have 0 groups of 200, you have no groups of 1 million. So that's why it's always 0. You have none of them. Okay? So again, these are some examples, but any number times 0 is 0. You have no groups of that number. Alrighty? So again, I want you to come up with 3 examples on your own using the 0 property. Maybe you can come up with a big number like mine right here in the billions. I might have said millions before, but this is actually 1 billion. Big number. Okay? Okay, so quick review. Multiplication properties. 1, commutative, flip-flop. It doesn't matter which way you multiply them, you're going to get the same product. Commutative, flip-flop. Associative. Think, who do you associate yourself with? Who do you group yourself with? It doesn't matter the grouping. The grouping is another word for parentheses. You're going to get the same product. Okay? Identity. Think same number. Okay, a number does not change when you multiply it by 1. It stays the same. And the 0 property. Any number times 0 equals 0. So I hope you guys took great notes tonight, and we will review these in class tomorrow. All right, awesome job.